Hey everybody, welcome to AfterBuzz TV's After Show for NBC's new series Game of Silence. Tonight we'll be recapping episode 1, pilot, and episode 2, Blood Brothers, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Because a vision softly creeping.
Appropriate.
It's kind of creepy, but
we all naturally were like,
Yes, we've got this somber song for a somber show, definitely. Yes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Miaira Jennings. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miaira Jennings, and I'm joined by my lovely panel here tonight. Why don't we introduce ourselves?
What's up? Leslie Ambriz here. You can find me on Twitter at In Less Than No Time. Less is just with one S. It's kind of funny, maybe not, but follow me back anyways.
Hey guys, I'm Abby Vega. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Abby Vega.
And I'm Nikki Preston. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter at Nikki Preston TV and Instagram at Nikki.Preston.
Awesome. I'm excited to be talking about
Very
this season.
excited.
We got a panel of lovely ladies, so that'll be pretty cool for our viewers.
Female.
All in black, too. You know?
Yes, for the
Black
dark
is sexy.
topics,
Oh,
right?
yeah, we're already thinking alike here.
All right, so there was so much in these first 2 episodes, but before we jump in, let's just talk about the backstory a little bit. I don't know if you guys have heard, but so this was originally an adaptation of a Turkish series, which was actually based on a true story, which makes this all so much creepier.
It really does.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that right off the bat, just knowing that it's based off of a series that was based off of a true story?
I'm just wondering how no one did anything about this. Didn't their parents come to visit them and wonder maybe something's up? Why does my kid have bruises and burn marks and this and that? Like, it's just, it's unbelievable to me.
I guess my only mindset, obviously finding out it was true, I thought, holy moly, that is crazy. But then I guess the fact that it's in a different country, you know, things work differently everywhere. So what may seem crazy to us, you know, it might be more of a norm in a different country. Either way, it's messed up, but.
Yeah, it's really sad even more, like you guys are saying, just to know that it actually happened. Because when you're first watching it, you're like, oh, this is like kind of unsettling. Like, I feel really like weird watching this, but it's like, it's okay. Like, somebody just wrote it like out of their weird, twisted mind, haha, for my entertainment. But then finding out, oh, as you look it up, it's a true story, I was like, oh my God, my whole world is flipped around, and I feel so much more heaviness towards the people that actually went through this. Like, just even like when you read a little bit of history, like in a book, and you're like, dang, I can't imagine. I immediately put myself in that situation.
Kids besides, I mean, even adults, I wouldn't want to see them go through that, but like 13-year-olds, you can't have a heart to do things like that to them. I mean.
Right. And like you said, I think it's more impactful because it does happen. This new, Game of Silence rendition happens in our country. So it really makes you think if something like this is really going on. I mean, of course, this was set, the flashbacks happened in the 80s, but we never know about this institutional, abuse and things of that nature. So it's going to be a heavy season, but we're ready to tackle it. So let's just get started. So we start out episode 1 with a flashback immediately. We're back in 1988 in Brennan, Texas, and we're introduced to our main characters, a group of friends. They're just having fun like kids do. It's Jackson, Gil, Boots, Jesse, and Sean. So they're just having fun, around their city like kids do. And basically Jackson, I believe, is narrating the whole situation and thinking back on the memories. And we are set up for what happens when they, start this craziness. So apparently we're shown that Jesse's mom is an alcoholic and she's having a lot of trouble at home, and the boys are kind of an escape for her. Of course, they become her best friends really quick, but they initially go to save her from her alcoholic mom. So Jackson jumps into a car that the mom was about to, take Jesse away in, and they're just joyriding down the street, no cares in the world. And they hit another car when they try to swerve out of the way of a dog, and that sets up the action for the rest of the season pretty much, because they wind up in Quitman.
You're good. You're close. Yeah,
Quitman, a detention facility for the youth, and that's where a lot of abuse takes place. Let's just talk about the flashbacks for a minute, because I feel like the flashbacks really make this a lot heavier.
Oh,
Yes.
definitely.
You know?
That's what I was thinking, is seeing them just being the carefree kids.
Yeah.
You can tell none of them are bad kids.
No,
They
not
seem
at
to just
all,
be
yeah.
very normal, enjoying their summer. So I think I really like that the show shows that side of it, you know, how just normal they were and they just got in a bad situation that any kid could get into. So, and then when you see what happens to them, it makes you that much more, you know, it's that much more gut-wrenching because they're these normal kids, and it's so awful.
it
They
could
didn't
happen to
deserve to
anyone.
be there, exactly. But I was thinking, I mean, I remember the first time I drove when I was 16, I was awful. I mean, I was in the parking lot 3 summers, and this kid is driving down the street like, you know, he's the
he knew how
boss,
to
you
put that
know.
thing in drive.
Yeah, so
Yeah, he had it for sure.
but I was getting so nervous how they weren't paying attention to the road. He
Started
put on
like
the
bouncing to the
sunglasses.
music.
Yeah.
We knew
God.
it wasn't going to be good.
Oh, yeah, that
It was
scene-
a little though, like it was sad what happened when they got into the car accident, but I felt like even that scene was very dramatic. Just with, I think the show, this is a little off topic, but I think the show overuses blood, where they make it over. I don't know if it's to like give us that, like, oh my God, like shock effect or something, but even they said, like, with all that blood that lady lost in that first shot that we get, she would have been dead. But then we find out, oh, like, just kidding, she survived, but they're still going to Quitman for 9 months.
So I think this is a testament to NBC's new direction that they're trying to go in with their series. I noticed that they're really trying to get that like not network TV vibe, and really trying to you know keep up with the other channels that are doing really gory and dramatic stuff. So I mean
that
that's
could
probably
be it,
why.
Yeah, I think, I didn't notice, like, obviously you notice there's a lot of stuff, but I didn't think it was unrealistically gory or anything. I mean, it definitely makes you gasp, but I think it's kind of necessary to get that point that they're trying to make across.
I just thought it was funny that the boys, they all walk out of the car fine. They had like one little drop of blood, and then the girl is just covered. The difference there was kind of crazy, but yeah, I didn't think the blood was that bad as far as the girl. Like, I was just used to it. Maybe I'm used to all the blood on TV, you know?
Yeah,
I come from a medical family, so maybe that's why I was like, oh, that's not real. No,
it's got your realistic mind going on. You gotta suspend your disbelief when you watch the show.
For real.
So we flash forward 25 years, and we see Boots, who is now some kind of delivery man. He's on his job, and he sees this other man. Something, just a trigger goes off, and he takes a golf club and just bashes the guy's head in. And we cut to Jackson, who is like the big brother type character, and he's obviously a big lawyer now, and the other guys, Sean and Gil, go to meet up with him because Boots is now in jail for what he's done, and we at this point don't know why. Later on we get a flashback from when the boys are in Quitman, oh my gosh, Quitman, and we find out that they dealt with so much abuse while they were in there, and one of Daryl, the guy who got his head beat by Boots, was one of the other inmates who was abusing them, so that's why he did it. And it really gets things going with the Brotherhood and how close they were, even though we see that Jackson moved away and he really wanted to remove himself from the whole situation. What did you guys think about that, and just the comparison between Jackson's character, and he's so well off right now, he's got a great career, and you can see that Gil and Sean have been struggling with this for probably this whole entire time, as well as Boots. And they're probably not as over it as he is. What do you think about that dynamic?
You always saw that Jackson was the stronger one. He was always trying to be the hero, stand up for everyone, and he's just able to push it down and be successful. And maybe the torture he went through almost gave him more drive to be even more successful, where the other two are not handling it well, especially Gil. I think in some later episodes we see like things happened to him over the other guys that were even worse. So I think that's why he's so violent too as well. So it really affected them in a bad way.
Yeah, and I also think it could be just the fact that some people, any traumatic situation, everyone always deals with it differently. Maybe Jackson just felt, I'm just going to put it behind me and kind of do the ignore method. I'm going to move on with my life, try not to think of it, even though it's still there, while the others, maybe show a little more about how they're feeling about it. But I just think it could just be a different way that people cope with things.
Plus, we even see like flashbacks of him getting, it was more episode 2, but him getting into some weird situations with Jesse in between that time. So I think that because he's like suppressed it so much, like you were saying, I think we're starting to see the unraveling now that everyone's back together. I think we're going to see a little more of Jackson acting like Gil necessarily, maybe not to the extremes of Gil being so violent, but I think we'll see it a little bit more.
For sure. Now, so after that, they go meet at a bar and they're talking. And initially, we think that Sean and Gil just want Jackson to represent Boots, perhaps. They want his, like, lawyer insight and his help. But we later find out that they want full revenge. Yeah. They're not messing around. No. They want heads. Exactly. For sure. So Jessie comes in and she's shocked to see Jackson. They obviously haven't seen each other in a while. And we found out, obviously, they were childhood loves, which is so sweet to see.
Even one thing that we didn't mention was when they crashed the car, Jackson was big on getting Jessie out of there, not getting her involved.
Yeah, so they were always trying to protect Jessie, which is cool to see. And, you know, all these years have passed. They haven't seen Jackson in a long time, and it's clear that Jessie's still close with the other guys. So from that point, we really get a good sense of, I mean, maybe it's just me, but you definitely see that tension between Jackson and Jessie.
Definitely.
And I personally think that's going to come up all season long. Because, I mean, who doesn't forget their first love, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to see a little more chemistry between Jackson and Jessie. And even Jackson and his fiance, I felt like it was always like forced or
like
he was trying too hard. It never felt quite right. So I think maybe as it goes on, we're at least going to see a stronger bond between Jessie and Jackson, I hope.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I got good chemistry from Jackson and his fiance, but I think you're right. I think I want to see like a few more looks between Jessie and Jackson, like a little more hinting that something could still be there. But yeah, so we move on and we see Terry, who is now involved with this drug situation cartel, but in the flashbacks we see that he was kind of the warden's goon, like his main goon. So he was also an inmate when he was a kid in Quitman. Okay. We'll get it.
You got it. It's like a pause. You got it.
But, you know, it's just, it's so disturbing to see that not only were these people in authority abusing the kids, but they also had other children abusing the children. That was just a huge topic
Which
to me.
I wonder if
continue.
The warden, they'd already gone through like that initiation process, Terry and Daryl and all those other guys. I wonder if like before these kids came, if they were the ones getting beat up.
I was curious about that. I was thinking the same thing.
That's
like, because if not, why would he have such control over them when they could easily? I mean, they're adults. These are kids that could easily like are stronger than them, or like mentally younger than them, are more capable to take them over. To all of a sudden be listening. I feel like if all the kids had the chance to like get up and revolt against the warden and the officers, they could have.
Exactly. Plus they got so much training with their fight club and all that.
Exactly. Like something had, and I hope we'll see that more. It's like something had to have happened.
Yeah, well, I think Terry later mentioned something like, you know, I had to quickly choose between being prey and being a predator. So I think they make it clear once you get there, you're going to be on our side or you're going to be
on the other side,
which is so sad and scary. But anyway, just speaking about the flashbacks that we see, that's a huge part of it, and the flashbacks from Quitman are huge. So we first see, you know, the abuse. They get abused right off the bat. Someone steals Gil's money, I believe, or Boots' money, one of the officers. We see that they're having a fight club in there. The kids are fighting in this cage. And I think one of the most impactful moments is when we see Gil taken in the night across the street to some
warden's
weird party right, that the warden's having. What do you think this part of the story, and basically, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm definitely getting some sort of sexual abuse. Okay, because they didn't come out and say it, but they were definitely hinting. Do you think we're going to get more of that as the season goes on?
Unfortunately, I think so, yes. We're going to,
because it keeps hinting like little bits and pieces. You get one glance in this, one more glance in the next episode.
Yeah, so I definitely think it'll keep coming up, and I think that's one thing, well, just from what I've seen, I think that's something that only Gil maybe went through, because he was talking about the warden's parties, and the other two never mentioned them.
Right.
So I think that might just be something that happened only there, and maybe that's why, you know, Gil has a little extra. He's a hothead, you know. So maybe that could have pushed him even further than the other two.
I think so.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Gil is obviously the most unstable one. I would argue that he has had the hardest time dealing with this and getting over it, and that's probably why.
Yeah, and
he was abused
what was the
most.
line he said? He's said something about, I'd rather die than have people know what happened to us in there.
Exactly.
So that's what makes me believe that even more, that he may be.
And it definitely happened like on a continuous
Yes.
Exactly, because again, guys too seem to be more self-conscious of being raped or molested, where women, you know, it's okay almost for you to admit something happened. So I think he's really ashamed about it.
Very ashamed,
Yeah, he seemed like he doesn't want to talk about that at all.
And that just goes along like what you said. Victims are they just carry the shame with them, and they don't want to tell. So Gil is already thinking, you know, I'm just going to handle this myself, and no one has to know. Let's just kill him. I mean, I don't know if I would disagree with that if it were me, honestly, but I mean, what can you do? So we do see that Jackson disagrees initially, and he wants to, you know, either forget about it or go a legal route, but we see his mind quickly changes when Boots is stabbed in jail, which was obviously set up by Terry. And he later dies in the hospital, and I think that is the moment when the guys really stuck together and they're like, okay, we're going to do this. Like, we have to get revenge. We have to get revenge for Boots, and we have to make things right for everything that we did. So do you think Jackson is 100% on this, or do you think he's going to be wavering?
I think at this point he seems to be pretty 100%, but I think that there's going to be tension in the fact of how they handle it, because I think as of now he seems to really want to do it legally, you know, find dirt and get him that way, whereas definitely Gil, I think, wants to just do this direct, you know, no consequences route of taking these people down.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Especially, oh, sorry, were you going to say?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I think I heard somebody talk. But I think especially we see like even how the warden is running for Congress and he's all screwed up. The air marshal that is what was involved in that drug scandal. I think as they uncover more, like you were saying, I think Jackson's going to find not only is he unraveling more because of what's happened to his friends, but he's going to unravel more as he realizes that the justice and legal system and the people that he depended on all these years are actually corrupt and are actually involved some way in Terry's drug cartel.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the end of episode 1 was crucial, I think, to setting up the action for the rest of the season in 2 ways. So first, we see that there is a flashback between Jesse and Jackson, and come to find out, something that none of the other guys know, Jackson apparently beat this guy in the forest, and Jesse witnessed it. I don't know, something like that. So he's carrying this burden of a secret of his own, and none of the other guys know. And I'm thinking the guy that he beat or killed or whatever has to do with Quitman. Do you guys get that?
It looks like one of the guys.
I was almost positive he made a comment about it. I didn't write it down, but that's what I was thinking, that it was someone from Quitman.
Okay, so maybe you're right for sure. So I think that might be the reason why he's choosing to go ahead and do it, because he already did something like this, but none of them know. So I think that's really interesting moving forward.
And maybe that's why he ran. Maybe he went to Houston because he had an even bigger secret that he had to get away from. Not necessarily just running away from what happened to him as a child.
For sure. And then the second thing, so we're at Boots's funeral at the end, and Detective Liz comes in, and she basically informs the guys that Daryl was killed. So he had been in the hospital from his wounds from Boots. He was released, but he actually was killed later on in his own home from gunshots, and they don't know who killed him. So initially I thought it was Gil. We see Gil pull out a gun. We see him contemplating. He's obviously the most pissed off one out of all of them, but he denies it.
I think it's too obvious.
That's
I don't
what I
think
think
he
too.
did.
Okay,
I
so
think they framed him.
Yeah,
you think he's framed?
Right after, because they showed Gil with the gun kind of saying how he just wanted to kill Daryl.
Right.
So then right when they said that Daryl was shot, I thought there was no way that it was Gil, because that's way too obvious.
Do you guys think it could be like some random character that we're going to see later, or somebody that we've already seen?
I think it's someone. I think it's with Terry and that little group of people, or even the warden, to be honest.
Yeah, because I think, he's already in bad shape, just kill him, you know, and then use him to help us. The funny thing, though, is he was beat to death with a golf club. He should have died instantly. And I hate it. Like, what was his name? The guy in jail is just like stabbed in the thigh, and he like dies. I mean, it doesn't.
I think he was. That definitely hits some organs.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, the back.
Okay.
Yeah, but either way, that whoever killed Daryl, that's going to play a pretty big part moving forward. So we finish episode 1, we go into episode 2, and they're immediately talking about who killed Daryl, because they're all denying it. So we're thinking maybe it's somebody completely different, like you said. It would be way too obvious if it was Gil, and I don't know if Jackson would do it, but that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
if he
that'd
did.
be cool if he did. Yeah.
He did for sure. So
or Boots' wife.
That's what I was thinking, because they showed the gun. I was thinking that.
That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
that would be really good if they did that twist.
and she acts all innocent, like a gun.
Yeah.
What's this gun doing here?
But
you
she
know?
seems-
She's like,
She seems
just
pretty
kidding, I've
genuine,
used
though.
it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in episode 2, I think investigation was a really big topic, both from the detective and from the guys. So we start off, obviously Detective Liz is really on the case. She's trying to figure out who killed Daryl, who killed Boots, or how they're connected. And we also see the guys trying to investigate a way to, get these officers and all these people who abused them years ago to pay for their actions, because as we find out, all of the sexual and whatever else abuse that happened is beyond the statute of limitations, so they can't get them on that anymore. So now their main focus is to figure out how they're going to get them, because obviously Jackson wants to at least do it some kind of legally correct way, and not just blow all their heads off and call it a day like Gil does.
Do you think in the end, though, Jackson's going to be like, fine, we're going to do it your way, Gil. Let's just get revenge, you know?
I think you'll have some moments. If it's not one big one, little ones that lead up to it.
Yeah, I think they're definitely headed down that path. There's only so much you can do before you are like, okay, these people are freaking messed up. We have to just get rid of them. So we see they follow the path down to this nurse who was one of the good guys, one of the good people at Quitman, and they go to visit her and try to get some more information about what happened to one of their friends who was also an inmate named Petey. So he was a little boy who disappeared mysteriously after doing some work in the fields with some chemicals, which was
illegal
so,
chemicals.
so illegal and so wrong. Obviously, the nurse does not want to talk. So right off the bat, we know the warden is definitely crossing off names on his list. He's keeping up with people who are talking. Do you think Annie's safe right now, or do you think she's going to try to help later on?
She is, but I think later on something's going to happen to her.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think, later on in the episode, too, everyone that says anything, I think they're always in trouble. That's why they're afraid to talk.
Yeah.
I know. It's just
that one
it
guy
kills
was
me.
dumb.
I feel like no matter what, even if I thought my life was in danger, there's no way I would stand by and let things happen like this. It's just so heavy. I don't think I would be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know?
Or I would quit. I would just be like, I need to leave. I cannot work here,
they'd
you
kill
know?
I wonder
you.
if they could leave.
Oh, yeah, maybe
They'd
they couldn't
definitely
leave.
kill you if you left.
Yeah.
You can't have people running around knowing all these things.
It's like
I was upset just like 30 minutes after episode. It took me a while to shake it off, let alone if I was actually working there and dealing with that.
So Nurse Amy didn't want to say too much, but what she did say was that Bobby was the last person to see Petey, so maybe they should follow that path and ask him. And then we get a gruesome flashback of that day, and Petey's covered in burns from the chemicals, and they claim they're taking him to the hospital in this van. We later find out that they did not take him to the hospital. They basically drove him to the forest, and then the warden made Bobby get out of the car. So, after we see that flashback and the guys go to confront Bobby, because number one, I think they wanted some closure on that, because like they said, they have no idea what happened to Petey. Honestly, they don't even know if he's dead. So I think they wanted more information on that, and obviously they took a camera because they need some kind of legal, substance, and they need to record him saying these things so they can use it in court later on. Did you guys, first I thought that Bobby was gonna lie about the story because he knew that they were recording him. Did you guys think he was being completely honest about the story?
I couldn't fully read him, but then it's also important at this point too that we know that the reason that they're really interested in Petey is because the only crime that they could get these guys for is murder.
Right.
So that's like that's an important thing to mention. So that's why they're really trying to investigate this. But I could not read Bobby very well. I don't know about you guys. I couldn't get a good feel.
Went from I'm not telling you anything to okay, now I'm gonna be sobbing.
And being emotional.
On camera, I think he would have been too afraid to be on camera. He didn't say anything all those years ago. Why is he gonna say something now?
I think he was maybe scared and threatened because these three guys now they are men, you know,
Yeah.
he doesn't have that control over them that he might have that
Plus,
too.
Gil was like casually holding a knife while he was talking. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. Now, just moving forward, we see Bobby, you know, basically tell what happened, and the warden made him get out. So really, the warden was the last person to see Petey. It really runs them to a dead end because they don't have a confession of any type. They don't have any proof that Petey's dead. So they kind of have to start their whole plan over, which is going to be pretty interesting moving forward. I really don't know what they're going to do about that because obviously they can't just go question the warden at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, this may be a reach, but I'm thinking maybe the guy who was questioned, maybe he did something sexual with Gil because Gil's like, he was at the parties.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so I'm maybe, you know.
And
I
maybe
don't know.
that's why he went in so
exactly.
viciously towards him. That's a good point. I didn't think about that, but now that
Or if
that's-
anything, even if he wasn't involved, he must have like seen
Seen
it
it,
and
was
just
there.
didn't do anything about it. Because
Yeah.
it seemed like the kids knew, based off Petey like asking Bobby to stay with him in the van. It seems like the kids actually like he was
That's a
like
good
maybe the
point.
one person they trusted.
yeah.
Yeah, so after that, Detective Liz continues her investigation. She actually goes to speak with Boots' wife, Annie, and show her some photos
Which I
of
thought
the
was
other.
unnecessary.
I think she's just trying to figure out who killed
Yeah.
him. I mean, I really don't know what other options she has at
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
point. They're basically going off of nothing when you think about it.
I just mean because like I feel like she's pregnant. You know, let's keep her like she's already emotional.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think she wants
Settle
to know.
Oh yeah, she definitely wants to know.
I think at this point, it's kind of you got to do what you got to do quickly. But like the quicker you figure things out, the better. So
She's actually pretty calm considering what
Yeah.
happened and being pregnant and all that, I think.
yeah.
Yeah,
Way to
I'd
go.
probably be
Way to go.
hysterical.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
But definitely, so that's kind of the dead end. She doesn't recognize any of the guys. I thought Jessie was actually gonna like see a picture she recognized,
Same.
but that didn't happen.
Yeah, I know,
so-
didn't
They did like
Wah, wah.
scan that one guy.
Yeah, that
photo
one
for,
guy.
like,
Yeah, and he does look familiar.
He's going to be in an
He's gonna
episode.
be.
Yeah.
Is that Dooley, the guy?
Dooley,
Okay,
exactly,
there we go.
yeah.
All right.
We did our
You got
IMDb
it,
research,
people.
yeah.
We're on it, for sure. So she finishes with that. They also question Daryl's girlfriend, Miaira, which was a huge point in the episode because she actually remembers seeing this van at the scene of the crime, which later on, Oscar, who is Detective Liz's partner, seems to believe that belongs to Gil.
I think it's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I think that the way that girlfriend said that, she said, "Oh wait, I do remember a truck. You know, it had a black guy and a white guy." I thought it was way too.
Oh my gosh, wait, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
It was
was
way-
there even a black guy, first of all? Sorry to interrupt, but was there
No.
even a black guy
No.
in. Because it wasn't the moving van she's talking about.
No,
she's
she was talking about a
the
truck. I think she was talking about Sean. Well, that's
Sean
what they
and
wanted, Sean and
Gil,
Gil.
yeah.
But I think it was way too formulated,
Yeah.
the way she said it. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I thought it was way too, oh, wait, I did see a truck kind of thing.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
That made
Plus
me
to remember the exact make and everything.
Yeah, I thought
For
it was
sure,
a little.
it had a writing on the set.
Yeah, I thought it was a
You
little
just
fishy.
casually happened to glance at it. You wouldn't remember all these little
way.
details.
And
you know?
plus, I think that's going to be important because Daryl was working with Terry, who obviously
Yeah.
knows that the guys are involved. So Terry's probably behind this. He probably
think
got to
so.
the girlfriend like, listen, if you want to live, you're going to tell
Yeah.
the police
Uh-huh.
this.
Yeah.
So more likely than not, that's how it went. And I think the last major theme was the relationship growing. I don't know if they're already friends or if it's kind of blossoming, but between Annie and Jesse.
I think they're friends.
Okay,
already.
so they're already friends. And it's interesting, they talk a lot about Jackson, and obviously Annie has not heard much about Jackson since she's been with Boots. But we do get flashbacks, and we've realized that Jackson completely skipped town after they got out of Quitman, so obviously they haven't heard from him since then. They also talk about Jackson and Jesse's little love situation, and Annie's very supportive of
she's
Jesse
go get it, girl. Go get your man.
even
Yeah,
though
I know.
Gil is in a relationship with her. Which also, I forgot to mention that Gil finally tells Jackson that he's with Jesse, which I think is a big moment, even though Jackson kind of
Jackson's
played it
like,
off.
whatever, yeah.
He cares.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
cares.
mean that moment in the bar tells you he cares. You know.
That was another thing that made me think Annie and Jesse were already friends, you know, because he wouldn't just randomly be. She confronted her about
Yeah.
the Jackson
Yeah.
situation.
That's a good point.
She said, "I have two eyes. I see
Yeah.
it," and I feel like that's something you would know with your friend. Maybe not. You wouldn't probably say that to someone you're not that close with, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought
for
they were.
sure.
I got the vibe they were friends already.
Yeah, so
Maybe
I think
not like super close friends, but they were,
they're pretty good friends, I think, especially since, you know, she was the wife of Boots.
Yeah,
and
I
they're
think
also
that's
close.
what I thought because since Jesse stayed close with Sean, Boots, and
Gil.
Gil, that's what made me just think that they were all just
Yeah.
a close knit group of friends.
Yeah, pretty much Jackson's the only odd man out in this point. And finally, the creepy Warden Carroll. So he's running for Congress, and Bobby, man, he calls the warden to tell him that you know, Jackson and the guys came to question him, but he does not mention that he spoke on camera about the situation. So okay,
He's
this guy clearly a
I
coward.
just recap some stuff about what happened.
He's like, they were here 5 minutes and I pushed them out.
Oh yeah, so I'm like, okay,
He
obviously.
should have just not made that phone call.
that was so
no,
nice.
he literally made his own death sentence.
It's like he almost he went over above and beyond to make the warden think that he's on his side, but obviously the truth's gonna come out.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking the warden is obviously a very intelligent man. I mean, he has to be in order to get away with all the stuff he's done over the years. And so, I mean, he's too smart to not keep tabs on all these people who work with him. So Bobby was definitely lying when he said he hadn't talked to him in 10 years. Like this man,
he
Warden
still had
Carroll.
his phone number.
Speed dial. Exactly.
It's like, hey,
Ready? He is checking in probably every day. So I think that's definitely going to develop as the season goes on. And we end the episode with Terry sitting outside of Jackson and what is her name, Marina, his fiance's house. So obviously he's going to be keeping tabs on their actions going forward, and it's definitely going to complicate the story and their plan to get revenge.
Oh yeah.
So with that being said, let's talk about what we predict for the rest of the season.
so many predictions.
It's gonna be juicy.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Oh, wow.
Open floor.
Anyone going?
I think Jackson is kind of going to play both sides a little bit because he doesn't want to lose his fiance, his nice life, everything that he's got going. So as much as he wants revenge, I think he's kind of going to go back and forth. Some days he's going to be more on his fiance's side, kind of helping them out, and the guys are going to get mad at him and vice versa. So I just think he's kind of going to be all over the place a little bit.
So I have two about different situations. First, I don't think that Jackson and his fiance are gonna last at all. I think
Not at all.
I wrote in the first episode that he's gonna have way too many secrets, and you find he already lied about where he was and why he missed lunch. So that's already happening. His secrets are just gonna interfere with the relationship and continue. And then the second thing, I think that Terry has a lot to do with Daryl's murder. And I think he's concocting the whole thing. He knew if he killed Daryl, it'd be easy to set up Gil and Sean. So those are my two predictions as of now.
Nice. I think mine has to do with your first one. I think because we see Terry at the end staring at Jackson's house, I think something's gonna happen where they're gonna kidnap Jackson's fiance or something to get back at him. And then that's what's going to cause Jackson to kind of jump over to seeking revenge. Because if that's his love, that's going to happen. And if somehow she ends up dying and they just kill her character off to get her out of the way, I think that's when Jackson and Jesse are going to reignite that love together. It's either going to happen a nice way, a sad way because she dies, where they reignite that love, or he's going to end up like accidentally.
You got the whole season
Or he's
planned
going
out.
to end up, you guys, my brain was turning, or he's going to end up cheating on his
I think that's
fiance
what's
with
gonna happen.
Jesse.
Yeah.
Okay,
I want to see some cheating first. I think before
I
anyone does.
definitely think
some
we're
more
in store for
drama.
that. So just going off of that, I think I agree with you guys in terms of Jackson and Jesse. And I think, so in the previews for the next episode or whatever, the rest of the season, we see that Jackson, is interacting with both Marina and Jesse. And I guess they're going to meet soon. So I think Marina's going to put two and two together that maybe he's having an affair and that's why he's always gone. And I think that's going to break up their relationship. And I think if Jackson and Jesse rekindle their flame, it's going to cause a lot of tension between Gil and Jackson, and it's going to break up their brotherhood, which is going to cause a lot more friction. So,
Yeah.
A lot. Just a lot.
right? So we have a lot to look forward to for the rest of the season. I'm so excited. We just talked about what we think is going to happen, but let's talk about what the critics are saying about what we've already seen. So let's talk about a little news and reviews.
Yes.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Ooh, I like the little doo-doo-doo-doo. Okay, anyways, our first one, guys, we have an awesome interview that our I forgot the name. Our Black Hollywood Live host, Megan Thomas, did. She got to talk to the warden himself, creepy man, but the guy who plays him isn't as creepy, Connor O'Farrell. And he kind of talks about what makes the show different. We actually have a clip for you guys to show real quick.
I think he said that very well.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree.
Very
So far,
character
like you said, there's
Exactly.
no really gimmicks, and the fact that it's based off of something that was based on a true story makes it even more real. And
And the
just hit a lot of
the
hearts,
actor's
yeah.
so much sweeter than
It's just an act. He's not that sweet. He can't be.
for sure. So let's see. What did the critics say about the premiere?
The critics have a lot of great things to say. I mean, they do say that it's a little bit fake, but I don't think it's fake if it's based on a true story. But it got great reviews, and 6.5 million viewers tuned in. So it's actually NBC's second highest rated show right now, just under The Voice. So I think it was so smart for them to debut the first night after The Voice, because, I mean, it's already helping.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously there's tons of reviews and magazines and stuff, and I agree completely with Entertainment Weekly. They said there's enough meat on Game of Silence's bones to keep viewers invested where these storylines go and how the tormentors from the past get their comeuppance. It will also be worth following the show to see how a network series handles such explicitly violent content, which is what we said. NBC is trying to go down this new direction maybe, which I think could really help them. And then I agreed completely. After the first episode, I just needed to know what happened to these characters. So I feel a lot of viewers are feeling the same way. So I agree with Entertainment Weekly.
Awesome. I think I definitely agree too. I think every week we're going to be in here like, oh my gosh, cannot wait for next week. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to our first recap show for NBC's new series, Game of Silence. Make sure you check in with us every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific. Thank you guys so much for listening on iTunes and SoundCloud. Make sure you give us a thumbs up if you liked it and leave us a comment. We love to have everyone join the conversation. And you can also keep it up with us on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at Miaira Jennings. Thank you guys.
And you can find me, Leslie Ambriz, at In Less Than No Time.
You can find me, Abby Vega, at _Abby Vega.
And find me, Nikki Preston, at Nikki Preston TV.
Thank you guys so much. And really quick, before we leave, we have a huge announcement as we tease next week. We're actually going to be having Nikki Tomlinson, who plays Annie, Boots' wife, on the show next week, so don't miss it.
Yes.
She's going to be
It's
an
gonna be
awesome
fun.
guest. She's going to talk about her experience filming. She's going to talk about her character. We cannot wait, so tune in. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.